On today's primetime local news, council says revamping the city's east drainage channels will cost over $500,000.
Maintaining the ditches is a requirement. As there's some erosion and growth of vegetation, they need to be cleaned and trimmed, and that will come in due time.
And kids got to feel like adults for a day for Take Your Kids to Work today.
They put their formal wear on or their proper attire for whatever that job might be, and we really do see them at their best.
Plus, elementary students show us the gift of giving with a collection of Christmas shoe boxes.
Prime time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
City Council is moving forward on revamping the East Drainage Channel after awarding Russway Construction the contract for more than $500,000. Josh Ryan has more on why this project is a critical part of improving the storm drainage system in the border city.
The city is starting outside and working back in with the storm drainage system, one bottleneck at a time.
The bottlenecks create flow problems, which ultimately lead to flooding in one area or another. So, the idea behind this is to remove a bottleneck so that the water can flow freely when it needs to from one storm pond to another.
The crossing at 40th Avenue will be improved in each aspect of the drainage channel.
The control structures, the crossing, and then containing or maintaining the actual ditches. And that is with every part of every drainage system that we have in the city, especially with stormwater. It's enhancing what's there to make it work better. That's really what it comes down to. Maintaining the ditches is a requirement. As there's some erosion and growth of vegetation, they need to be cleaned and trimmed, and that will come in due time.
This project is a rare one that requires cold conditions.
If we'd have done this in June and we'd had a significant rain event, we'd have been in serious trouble of flooding people. So sometimes road construction has to happen, and in this case a culvert placement or replacement has to happen in the wintertime.
Previous road work on 40th Ave did not include this particular area.
This section was left untouched with the understanding that it would be repaired through the replacement of the drainage channel. So luckily we are not pulling up pavement that we just laid down this summer.
And it will lead to more rehabilitation on the overall system.
Additional work has been identified for Lake J in a control structure so that we can maintain a certain level of water in the pond.
Josh Ryan, Primetime Local News.
Now that we're in November, the next thing on people's minds is Christmas and everything that comes with it. This includes the gift of giving. Students at Jack Kemp School have been collecting items to put into shoe boxes through Operation Christmas Child, something the school has been doing for over a decade. And the students learn a valuable lesson on the value of gift giving back.
We believe that if students can practice being generous and kind, they're going to feel so much better about themselves and have a larger awareness of what's going on around them in their community and in the world. So through Operation Christmas Child, we really want our students to understand that they can do something small that will make a big difference. And so we work with them to show them all these different ways that they can be great community involved in their community.
For the students, they learn what Operation Christmas Child is and how they can have fun while collecting boxes to send overseas.
You bring stuff to school, you put it in a box, and then the box gets shipped to a country, and then the box is given to the person. My class filled up 9 boxes.
The staff and students have a small goal that they set every year to make sure that teaching the importance of giving back remains a priority.
We typically try to collect about 60 shoe boxes. We don't necessarily reach for a larger goal. We just want to make sure that the kids are practicing being generous and that we're modeling that for them as well.
National Collection Week is from November 18th to the 24th. Boxes can be dropped off at Sunridge Community Church, Spiros, Silverwood Toyota, among others in the city. Grade 9 students all over the city took the day off school to join the workforce, marking another Take Your Kid to Work Day. This is the 25th year Canada has hosted the event, and every year about 200,000 students take the day to go to work. For a grade 9 student, it can be pretty overwhelming to have their environment completely change.
I vacuumed and swept before we opened the store and mopped, and then I put prices on the jewelry over there, and then I worked the cash register when customers wanted to come in and buy things, and I put merchandise on the shelves.
And the teachers definitely like that students can have a day to experience what the working world looks like. And today is an important day for students to give them a head start in thinking about their careers about school ends.
It can go one of two ways. Some of them come back and think, well, that's not what I want to do, that they're going to dig in at school a little bit more, and it helps them maybe clarify what their interests are. And for sure, some of our students come back and it's confirmed their notion of the path they want to take for a career choice. And so,
well, unfortunately, all the grade 9 students were laid off at the end of the day and will be returning to normal classes tomorrow. A fun day, I'm sure, for many who participated in that in Take Your Kid to School Day. Now we head out to Eric Bay, who was on location earlier today.
Once again, we are back out here today in Vermilion, and today we are talking about Hearts and Hands and the work that they are doing here in the community. And I'm now joined by Betty. And so first off, can you give us a little background on Hearts and Hands, kind of what you guys do here in Vermilion?
Sure. Hearts and Hands started in 2016 in February. We considered it January, but our first call was in February. We've done 152 calls. Normally we deliver to 3 families a month, and we offer them about $600 worth of items, mostly food, but also cleaning products, personal items, and lots of fresh fruit and vegetables and meat that they aren't able to access at like a food bank. And we only deliver. The drivers only get a first name and an address. If they can't find the house, they have to call me, and I connect and find a better way for them to reach them. And that's basically how it started.
And now, so the reason why we are here today is you guys are putting on a clothing drive right now. So can you tell us a little bit about the drive and kind of what you guys are looking for?
Mm-hmm. We started at about the end of September, and we've never done it before. But last year I noticed there was a few people had donated coats, which we in turn just redonated. But there were a few people that could have used them. And I thought storage might be an issue, but we're going to manage with that. And so that's where it basically came about. And we started in February, put up posters, put a little thing in the paper, and asked for people to donate. And they have been. There's been quite a few donations, but we do need more. Yeah.
All right, thank you for this. And we are going to have some more from back here as to how you can continue to help with this clothing drive. But before that, we're going to go back into the studio.
Taking a look at our current temperatures, -12 here in Lloydminster. We did have a fairly clear day. Did start off a little bit cloudy, but it definitely did brighten up throughout the day, and we were left with a very nice day. 9 km/h wind coming in from the south, making it feel like around -17 degrees with a little bit of cloud coverage, but it should be nice and clear. Now taking a look at current temperatures across the region, -12 out in Rocky Mountain House and in Red Deer, -8 in Edmonton, -5 in Jasper and Edson, -6 in Whitecourt, and -9 in Athabasca and Cold Lake. And on the Saskatchewan side, a -13 in North Battleford, a -12 in Saskatoon, and -13 in Mount Fort, and then -10 in Meadow Lake and in Prince Albert. Now overnight in North Battleford, -15, where the wind will be around 7 km/h coming in from the south-southwest, and it should be relatively clear with just a little bit of cloud coverage, but that cloud coverage will carry on until into tomorrow, where the temperature will be a high of -4, the wind picking back up to 9 km/h coming in from the south-southeast. In Cold Lake overnight, -14 degrees with the wind at 7 km/h coming in from the south-southwest, with a little bit more cloud coverage than in North Battleford, but it's still going to be relatively clear. And then it will be cloudy tomorrow with a high of -14, but that wind will pick up to 15 km/h coming in from the south. Here in Lloydminster, -14 overnight with a mix of clear skies and cloud, just like Cold Lake. And then tomorrow, -4 as well with that wind, same as Cold Lake, 15 km/h coming in from the south, and a fairly cloudy day with a low of -14. And then on Friday, there's a 55% chance of some flurries with a high of +3 and a low of -5. And then on Saturday, 68% chance of some snow with a high of -8 and a low of -9. That wraps up your 3-day forecast. We'll have your 7-day forecast and more news coming up.
Welcome back. Manitoba's main agricultural group has invited the Prime Minister to tour farms in the province. Keystone agricultural producers say it wants to discuss climate change, canola trade, and enhanced programming for the business risk management. President Bill Campbell says CAP wants to give Justin Trudeau a sense of the challenges facing farmers, including drought, too much moisture, and trade disputes that have all threatened their bottom lines. In a letter to Trudeau, Campbell says they are looking for federal leadership to ensure that farm operations remain sustainable. Campbell says CAP believes that talks about the West separating from Canada is not supported by the Manitobans. Now here are your agriculture prices for today.
We're a part of less than 5% of Canadian auto body shops and Lloydminster's only locations with certified collision care recognition at City Centre Auto Body.
Now to sports, and on the ice, the Lloydminster Bobcats have another lineup change to adjust to as Jackson Kaluski is heading back to the WHL after starting the season with the Seattle Thunderbirds. Kaluski will suit up for the Swift Current Broncos. The 20-year-old forward managed 1 goal and 20 penalty minutes in 6 games during his time with the Bobcats this fall. And now for some b-ball action on the courts. The Lakeland basketball teams are starting to heat up after the weekend series versus the King's University of Edmonton. Both the men's and women's teams are on 3-game win streaks. Friday saw the women show why it's called a home court advantage after only being up by 2 at the half point. The Rustlers went off starting with the third quarter on a 12-2 run.
Yeah, I do think we're probably one of the deepest teams in the league. I think anyone can score on our team, and you saw that out of Pipes coming off the bench, and all of our post players were good, and Ange Barron stepped up with no Tory and played 40 minutes of awesome basketball.
The women would end up winning that game by 24, making it back-to-back home games, winning by at least 20. Then the men didn't put up quite the same number Friday night, winning a tight game by 4.
Feels a lot better at night, sleeping, knowing that you got to win. If we didn't, I'd probably be up all night. So it was good. We battled.
The game also won their game Saturday 93. The men also won their game Saturday 93-80. The Rustlers play both their games at home this weekend against Keano College. And now we go to the weather with Abby St. John.
Thanks, Judy. Well, taking a look at our satellite radar, there's nothing too major to report on as the snow has kind of cleared off across most of Alberta and in Saskatchewan and in our region. There is a few spots down in North Battleford and Maidstone, but nothing too severe and nothing really to worry about too much. It should be relatively clear for tomorrow as well, and then we get a chance to see some snow on Friday and Saturday, but nothing too concerning. Current temperatures -12 here in Lloydminster, as well as in Meadow Lake, -9 in Isla Crosse and Pierceland, and out in Macklin, -10 in Green Lake and Maidstone, -13 in North Battleford, and -11 out in St. Walburg. And on the Alberta side, -9 in Cold Lake, Bonnyville, St. Paul and Provost, -10 in Wainwright and Marwayne, -11 in Vermilion and in Vegreville, -8 in Edmonton, and -7 out in Lac La Biche. And now tomorrow, -4 is the daytime high for here in Lloydminster, -2 in Provost and Wainwright, 2 degrees in Edmonton, -1 in Vegreville, -3 in St. Paul and Bonnyville, -4 in Cold Lake and Lac La Biche. And on the Saskatchewan side, -2 in Macklin, -4 in Maidstone and North Battleford, and in Pearceland, -5 in Green Lake and Meadow Lake, -6 in Isla Crosse and in St. Walburg. Now taking a look overnight across the region, fairly clear skies, no chance of some flurries overnight, or at least not high chances. Pretty clear in areas like Meadow Lake and Bonnyville, but mostly cloudy skies in Isla Crosse and in Pearceland, Unity, Wainwright, and Provost, and temperatures ranging between -15 and -13, and so it shouldn't be too bad for the temperature or the snow for overnight across the region. Now taking a look, school day at 8 a.m. will be -13 with a mix of sun and cloud, and then it gets a little bit more cloudier throughout the day, -9 by the time recess rolls around, and then it gets a little bit warmer at lunchtime with -6, and then by the time school is finished, it should be relatively cloudy with a -5-degree temperature, where we'll see just a little bit more cloud coverage than we've seen today and yesterday. With that, and then a low of -14 tomorrow, and then there's a 55% chance of some snow on Friday with a high of +3 and a low of -5, and then a 68% chance of some snow on Saturday with a high of -8 and a low of -9, and then we get a little bit cooler on Sunday with a high of -14 and a low of -19, and then starting your week on Monday, a high of -11 and a low of -21, and then on Tuesday, a high of -5 and a low of -15 with mostly cloudy skies, and then it should be relatively sunny throughout the day on Wednesday with a high of -3 and a low of -7. That wraps up your 7-day forecast. We'll have more news and the question of the day coming up.
And now we head back out to Eric Bay, who was on location earlier today.
Back here once again today in Vermilion, and we are checking out the Hearts and Hands clothing drive that is currently going on, and I'm joined once again by Betty. And now we've talked a little bit about starting it up, but now where can people find and drop off some of these items of clothing if they do want to help out?
It's all within our distribution area, which is from Kenilworth Lake to Innisfree, Highway 45 and 619, and so the drop-offs are only in Vermilion, however. They're at the Stryker Lanes, the Shoppers Drug Mart, Riverside Hair, Christina's Home Furnishing, the Vermilion Voice, the Bargain Store, and at the mall, there's Eagle's Nest Grill and McDonald's Foods.
All right, obviously tons of options for people to get involved, and now we mentioned this is the first year you're doing this, and you're also partnering with a local hockey team to do something special as well to help this out. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, I approached the Junior B Tigers to see if they would consider doing something like the teddy bear drop, but rather than teddy bears, long underwear, socks, ordinary underwear, toques, mitts, scarves and things, and they said they'd give it a try. I don't know if they've done it yet. I don't think so, but they will now.
All right, no, that's perfect for sure. They definitely people gotta be keeping on the lookout for that for sure. Now, obviously, you mentioned you've had a fairly good response so far, but you are still in need of some more specific items. Can you talk about what you guys are looking for there?
Well, we go with everything from boots, ski pants, long underwear, like I said, the other things. But specifically for coats, we need children's clothing. We need more children's clothing and youth. Larger women, we've had a call for one in a size 4 to 5X, and we don't have anything like that on hand. We have a fairly decent supply already for what we've got, but I mean, it wouldn't take long for us to go through them. So we do need more donations. We do have boots as well that have been donated, but they're size specific for whoever needs them.
Right, of course. All right, thank you for this, and we're going to have some more from back here again, continuing with Hearts and Hands, but before that, we're going to head back into the studio.
Well, question of the day is for everybody that's come to different places or different countries. I know I have. Abby, you've seen a lot of different people in this city that have come from different places, and you've come to Lloyd as well, too, from different places. So the question is, what was your biggest experience of culture shock in another city or another country? Mine was coming to Canada in general, because the winter, the first time I saw snow, I hadn't seen snow in, ever, because I come from Africa and Ethiopia, right? So I never saw snow, and I was totally shocked
Oh yeah,
'Cause it
from
looks
someone
different.
who's been around snow my entire
Yeah.
life, because I've grown up in Alberta my entire life.
Yeah.
Snow is like second nature to me.
I
Yeah.
love it. Some people still have a problem with it. It's still culture shock
Yes.
for some people that have lived
I
here.
still have a problem
You
with
still
it.
have a problem here. And there's other people that have chimed in on Facebook. Of course, Diana says, coming to Lloydminster 20 years ago, growing up in BC felt different. The people here are warm and trusting. I have to agree with her.
Yeah.
And some invited us into their home while trick-or-treating. Certainly couldn't have done that at home.
Yeah.
Wow.
I came from just a different city, just
Yeah.
outside of Edmonton.
Yeah.
And, just taking a look, I'm not really sure if Sherwood Park had like these tight-knit groups and stuff, but coming here, it was definitely a shock seeing how tight-knit this community is, and I love it.
love it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Just a couple other comments. Going to a nightclub in Panama City and having to be on a guest list and go through 2 security checkpoints to get in. Police are literally on every corner throughout the city, and driving through the slums in that city was something straight out of a movie. And then another comment, I think for me, was going to a fried chicken joint in South Africa for lunch. All the tills were behind glass.
I have to say that is part of the best things in Uganda and other places, Nairobi, Kenya, all of them have that type of thing. And let me tell you, those streeters and those types of meals, if you're not afraid of eating them, they're amazing, and it's that feeling of being in that culture, but you still get a little shock, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're switching over to pets of the day. Of course, some cuteness to warm up the Wednesday for you. If you see your pet picture plus its name, you'll be entered to win a gift certificate from the Pet Pad. Here's some cute pictures for you.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
Well, if you're planning on working out this winter, let me tell you, we've got the fitness guru right here, Renee Weinkoff from World Class Gym. Renee, so excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
We're gonna talk a little bit about exercising. Obviously, a lot to talk about in terms of people wanting to exercise. It's winter. People want to kind of cocoon and stay home. What are your thoughts on that, and what should they be doing?
Well, like you said, everybody feels like they should be stuck at home.
Yeah.
For one, first thing, I don't think you should be. I think you should get out and do something, hit the gym. But for those that are stuck at home, there's always lots of options, right?
For sure, yeah.
We had talked about that people don't want to sit on a treadmill or sit on an exercise bike. It just seems so boring, and you do it all repetitious, and it's not fun.
It's not fun. A lot of people also have been exercising for a long time and then they stop. You were talking earlier about whether or not we should stop or continue. I mean, like, my body aches after a while. I've been an athlete for a long time, and then all of a sudden I stopped because I work, right? What are your thoughts on those people?
In all honesty, if you keep moving, the soreness doesn't build up so fast, right? You got to keep everything lubricated, everything strengthened. I got clients that are 60, 70 years old that move like 30-year-olds.
Yeah, and I think it's good to exercise in terms of stress. I think it combats stress and other things in terms of brain function and all those kinds of things that exercise does, right?
That's right. Yeah, it does a lot. I mean, no matter what, making yourself feel better outside makes yourself feel better inside. It just works together.
It just works
right?
together. What do you do? I mean, like, look at you. You work out. You do this for a living. What do you do to kind of get your exercise going on, and how do you get inspired to be in the gym all the time?
I was dealing when I was a little kid. I dealt with a little bit of weight loss, weight gain. My whole family has a little bit of a weight problem.
Yeah.
And as soon as I hit about 16, I got introduced to the weights and never looked back. I couldn't let myself get out of shape.
Yeah, and then you got into the gym world, and now you own your own gym, so you have a lot of people that come to you, obviously. What are some of the tips that you give people that want to be a bodybuilder, for example, as opposed to a regular person that comes in and says, hey, you know what, Renee, I just want to get fit, or I want to get skinny, like me. We'll be talking later.
Either way is going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, for any kind of fitness thing, it's consistency, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that if you go 1 day a week or 3 days this week and 1 day next week, and it doesn't have a pattern, you're not going to get out what you should be out of it.
And I think it's so much, I mean, for you being in this world of training, there's so much knowledge you have to know in terms of helping people, right? Like, What is that for you? Do you have to keep up with the stuff?
Oh, I love it. Every day I'm doing research. Every day I got new books I got to read. I mean, I got baseball players, hockey players, old people, young people, athletes. I got people that are just here for rehab. So it's an ongoing process, and I just love it. So it's a lot of knowledge.
Oh, I bet. Now, you were talking about old people and doing rehab and all that kind of stuff. What are some of the things that you do with them? I mean, should they be working out all the time? Should they have, like, is it 1 day a week, or what should they be doing in terms of getting their exercise?
On average, the older people,
Yeah.
I keep to about 2 days a week.
Okay.
And we do full body workouts twice a week. Obviously light weights and practicing range of motion and mobility. So just that, you know, some guys at 60 years old can't tie their shoes.
Yeah.
Guess what? After a few months with me, they're tying their shoes.
Really?
Yeah.
Impressive. I love the confidence.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, and for a person who's, you know, wants to kind of get into the bodybuilding world, meaning really wants muscles and stuff like that. Obviously, we lack muscle. We lose muscle as we grow older. What are your thoughts on that, and what are your some advices in terms of how to exercise for that kind of thing?
Well, first of all, the number one thing for bodybuilders is get ready to eat. I mean, for these people that think 3 meals a day or even 5 meals a day is enough to be a bodybuilder, I'm usually at 7 meals a day, plus about 2,000 calories in protein shakes.
Wow.
So I'm taking in about 6,000 to 7,000 calories a day just to do when I do a show.
Yeah.
So just get ready to eat.
And that's for bodybuilders, right?
Yeah.
And in terms of actual exercise,
Yeah.
I mean, do you have to do heavy weights, or can you do light weights and gradually get to that point? Or do you have to, like, I've seen heavy lifters when they come in there.
So for me, it's the way we train is called gas training. It's not letting your body adapt to the style of training you're doing. So 1 week you will be lifting really heavy weights. Next week after that, you'll be doing everything for a minute. So if you're lifting heavy weights, you're not going to make it happen.
Yeah.
So the gas system that we set up, it's a 9-week program. So every week is a different way of lifting.
Renee, that's great. Obviously, we started talking about the food and the protein shakes and stuff like that. But we'll be right back with Renee Weinkauf to talk more about what you should be eating.
Hey, it's Justin Marshall from Hot 101.3 and Boom 95.3. And here's what's happening around the Lakeland. Well, coming up on Monday, it's Remembrance Day, and we have a ton of Remembrance Day ceremonies around the Lakeland. We're at the Bonnyville Cenotaph. This is Bonnyville Legion Vice President Jamie Beaupre. What's going on? What can you tell us?
Well, as far as the Bonnyville Legion's concerned, on Monday, we would like to have everybody seated at the C2 Center at 10:15. Then they'll start their march about 10:20. After the ceremonies are done at the C2 Center, we'll have our moose milk ready to go at the Legion in Bonnyville. We'll have some musicians going, and at 1 o'clock, we're going to try to get to graveyard duty. We've missed it, kind of slower down on the last couple of years. We'd like to get that back. It's a big tradition with the Legion. We'd like to see that come back. And afterwards, it's just going to keep going on at the Legion until she's all done.
You can get more details on all 3 Remembrance Day ceremonies around the Lakeland at facebook.com/hot1013fm. JB, why is it important to remember?
These are the guys that fought and died for our freedom. We'd be in a total different lifestyle if it wasn't for them. We wouldn't be voting or anything. So it's very important that we respect where we've been and how we got here.
Just a reminder, in Cold Lake at the Cold Lake Energy Center, the Cold Lake Legion is putting on the Remembrance Day, and then St. Paul at the Rec Center. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And if you have an event you would like to feature on what's happening, shoot me an email, jmarshall@stingray.com.
We are back with Renee Weinkauf from the World Class Gym, and we're going to be talking about the eating habits of a person that's trying to exercise and getting healthy and all that kind of stuff. So we touched up a little bit on the fact that protein shakes and all those things are great for somebody to be working out to build the muscles and stuff like that.
Right.
Let's kind of touch up on that a little bit more in terms of the proteins that people need to kind of work out and eat during their workout.
Okay. I'm good with all types of protein.
Yeah.
Obviously all of our meats. Right now I'm actually doing a vegetarian protein shake and everything. I am taking a lot of proteins in with vegetables, which is I've never ever done before.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously all kinds of meats, every kind of meat. I don't have a problem with any kind of meat any animal out there has a good spot on their body that's high in protein and low in fat.
And low in fat. It's interesting about protein shakes and protein food in terms of men and women. Is there a difference in terms of what we should be eating? As a woman, I would be eating differently, right?
Well, it depends. It depends on what your goal is. I mean, for a weight loss guy, you would be taking the same protein as a weight loss girl, right? They'd be taking the same, just that usually, say, for a protein shake, a guy is going to take 2 scoops, where a girl's going to take 1.
Okay. And of course, protein shakes are good, vitamins are good, and everything else. But when it comes to healthy eating, a lot of people just grab whatever they want. You know, we're busy people. I just grab whatever sometimes, and I get caught up in that cycle. What is the most important snack and some of the things you should keep with yourself and, you know, in terms of eating and going throughout the day?
Right. Well, so number one, like you just said, you have to be prepared. Preparation is key. I mean, no matter where your job is, you can have a lunch kit. You know, you gotta have your snacks. You gotta have your apples. You gotta have your oranges, your bananas, all that stuff that it's there just in case you get hungry. But yeah, the best thing to do is actually plan it out. I plan everything out every 3 days for what I'm going to eat, and then there's no second guessing. Well, what am I supposed to eat at 1 o'clock? Oh, guess what? That's what I eat at 1 o'clock. That's done.
That's done.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I hear about this intermittent fasting, which I'm fascinated about, because you don't eat all night, you don't eat all day, almost to like 12 o'clock sometimes or whatever.
Yeah.
What is that about, and does it really work, and is it helpful, or is that wrong? You don't agree with it? I
I'm
kinda
not
see
an
your face.
intermittent fasting guy.
Okay.
The way I've been brought up and taught by a lot of big-time trainers, that we got to fuel our bodies.
Yeah.
And especially for bodybuilding, you got to keep that. It's constant, and you got to keep feeding it and feeding it and feeding it, or it's not working properly.
Yeah.
That's the way I was taught by. I mean, I've been trained by Mr. Olympia. I've been trained by some big top trainers, and none of them have ever taught me intermittent fasting. So, but am I saying it's wrong? No. I've never been taught it. I've never used it. I've never had to use it.
Yeah.
I do paleo. The way I do it is called paleo diet, right? The caveman diet.
Yeah. So is that anything to do with dieting in terms of not eating a lot? Because I love to eat. I
Yeah.
love steak. I love all of it. But sometimes I have to kind of pull myself. What is the paleo diet? Is it paleo diet?
Yeah, paleo.
What is that?
It's the caveman diet. Legitly, if you can't hunt it, or if you can't pick it out of the ground, you can't eat it. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, like all the processed stuff, you know, you're not supposed to have anything processed. I mean, we still do the 80-20 rule too, where you eat healthy 80% of the time and eat junk food or whatever heck you want for the last 20.
Oh, I like that.
So it's usually for us, it's either you can have 1 snack a day that you shouldn't have, or leave it for, say, Saturday for 1 crazy meal of pizza or Chinese food.
Which is so good, right?
Yeah, it's a reward.
It's a reward. I like that. And I think it's hard for people because so many things are, you know, are processed and stuff like that. So we really are damaging our bodies anyway, right? With all of this stuff.
Non-stop, yeah.
So how can we avoid that kind of stuff when we go shopping? In terms of people, you know, they want to be able to say, okay, I can pick out these things and not these things. So how can they shop? And
the key is, and most people just think it's crazy, but the key is if you actually think about a grocery store, where's all the health food? Everything that you should be eating is on the very outside of the aisles. So the truth is, if you want to stay away from the bad stuff you're not supposed to eat, don't hit those center aisles. That's a thing I got taught a long time ago by one of my coaches, but when you're training for a show, you stay on the outside of the store. You don't go inside the store. You stay on the very outside of the aisles. It's on every store. You got your vegetables, your meats, your dairy, all that stuff is on the outsides, right?
Yeah.
So
and when you go in the middle, all the good
that's where all the good stuff is.
all the tasty stuff is in the middle, right?
Yep.
It's like a donut.
Yep.
The middle.
Exactly.
The
You know where
the
they
best.
are. You know where the good part is.
That is awesome. Renee, thank you so much. You have a lot of knowledge, and we're going to catch you at your gym, obviously, world-class gym. That's where you are most of the days if somebody wanted to come and train with you.
For sure.
Awesome.
Anytime.
Anytime. Thank you so much. Great advice, a lot of information, and that's it for
Thank you.
this